When we talk about a woman who doesn't listen, we're diving into a subject that often gets misunderstood. People might think this implies stubbornness, unwillingness to hear others, or even a rejection of advice. But in reality, it's far deeper and more profound. This woman is on a journey to remain true to herself in a world that often pushes women to fit predefined roles, where expectations weigh heavily, and the noise around us can drown out our inner truth. To say she doesn't listen is to say that she won't allow the world to define her worth, her value, or her potential. She knows the power of stepping outside what is expected and embraces a path where she isn't bound by the restrictions that others would impose upon her. The journey of a woman who doesn't listen begins with self-awareness. This woman has tuned into a voice inside herself that feels like home, a voice that guides her, grounds her, and reminds her of who she is, even when others try to shape her identity. She knows that living authentically is about embracing both her strengths and her flaws, her aspirations and her failures. She isn't afraid of her own complexity. In fact, she understands that her power comes from her willingness to accept herself fully and to live in alignment with her core values. So when the world tells her to be quieter, to tone it down, or conform to a certain image, she doesn't feel compelled to listen. Her sense of worth is rooted internally, not externally. This woman is not immune to criticism, nor does she ignore others for the sake of it. Instead, she discerns between the voices that are genuinely supportive and those that seek to limit her. She understands that the world can sometimes give advice from a place of fear or prejudice, subtly urging her to stay within comfortable boundaries. But the woman who doesn't listen is wise to these tactics. She knows that some voices seek to uplift and others seek to control. Rather than allowing the latter to dictate her choices, she embraces what supports her growth, and she refuses to accept limitations that don't align with her truth. To live as a woman who doesn't listen requires tremendous courage, especially when society praises compliance and discourages boldness. The expectations placed on women often push them toward being agreeable, likable, and easy to get along with. But the truth is, those qualities, while sometimes helpful, aren't the ones that shape movements, break down barriers, or create change. The woman who doesn't listen understands that she may be labeled difficult or uncompromising, but she's willing to risk it. She knows her path might not make everyone comfortable, and that's okay because she isn't here to meet everyone else's expectations. Her focus is on being honest with herself and the world around her. This woman has learned to set boundaries that reflect her strength and self-worth. She isn't afraid to say no when something doesn't resonate with her or align with her values, and she doesn't feel guilty for it. She recognizes that her energy, time, and spirit are precious, and she guards them with intention. These boundaries aren't about keeping others out, but rather about protecting her integrity and allowing herself to thrive in spaces where she is respected and valued. She won't settle for environments that diminish her, and she knows that setting boundaries is not only necessary but a profound act of self-respect. People might wonder how she became this way, where she found this courage. Often it's a path shaped by experience and resilience. Maybe she once listened to the voices that told her she wasn't enough, that she should be different, smaller, or quieter. But over time, she learned that trying to please everyone else only led her away from herself. She realized that self-compromise wasn't the path to fulfillment, and in embracing her truth, she found an inner peace that external validation could never provide. This inner peace and strength allow her to carry herself differently. She doesn't need to prove herself constantly because she knows her worth. She doesn't look for approval in every conversation because she's confident in her own skin. This assurance can be unsettling to others, especially those who've never questioned the status quo, who find comfort in convention. But she's come to accept that her presence and choices might challenge people, and she understands that's a part of growth, both hers and theirs. The woman who doesn't listen is a force for change, not only in her own life but in the lives of others. She shows those around her that it's okay to be unapologetically oneself, to not fit into neat boxes, and to resist the narratives that limit individual potential. In living as she chooses, she inadvertently gives others permission to do the same, inspiring them to question, to push, and to live with more authenticity. This journey of being a woman who doesn't listen is ultimately about living with courage and integrity. It's about embracing her voice, standing by her choices, and knowing that she alone is the author of her story. Her life is a testament to the power of self-belief and a reminder that true strength comes from within. When she doesn't listen to the noise that tries to define her, she becomes the truest version of herself, and that is a gift to everyone she encounters. You said, spend 2 into 700 words without heading. ChatGPT said. ChatGPT? The idea of a woman who doesn't listen brings to mind someone who lives in a way that might seem unyielding or rebellious. But in truth, her strength is built on something profound and deeply rooted self-belief. She has learned to trust herself so fully that the world's expectations and limitations no longer define her. This belief in herself is neither accidental nor superficial. It's the outcome of years of introspection, growth, and often hardship. Self-belief is the foundation of everything she does, shaping her choices, her relationships, and her vision for the future. Building this unshakable self-belief isn't easy, especially in a society that constantly reminds women to be accommodating, agreeable, and malleable. From a young age, women are often encouraged to look outward for validation, to be told they're good enough by meeting standards set by others. For many, this can mean that their sense of self becomes tied to external markers of success, attractiveness, or popularity. But a woman with strong self-belief has broken free of this dependency. She's stopped giving others the power to define her value. Instead, she's turned inward, tapping into a wellspring of worth that doesn't waver based on outside approval. This self-belief isn't arrogance or superiority. It's a grounded, quiet confidence rooted in knowing who she is and what she brings to the world. She understands that her worth is intrinsic, not something she has to earn or prove. For her, self-belief is not about being perfect, but rather about accepting herself completely, including her imperfections. She acknowledges her flaws, learns from her mistakes, and sees growth as a lifelong journey. This acceptance means she isn't easily swayed by criticism, nor does she feel compelled to conform to what others want her to be. Living with this level of self-assurance allows her to make choices that reflect her true desires, not just what's expected of her. Because she doesn't seek approval from others, her decisions are based on what aligns with her values and goals. Whether it's her career, her relationships, or her personal aspirations, she moves forward with clarity and intention. She understands that she might face judgment or misunderstanding for choosing a path that looks different from the norm. But she doesn't let that deter her. She knows that every step she takes in alignment with her values strengthens her sense of self, making her even more resilient to external pressures. There's a beauty in the way she navigates her life with such self-belief. She doesn't feel the need to compare herself to others because she's focused on her own journey. This doesn't mean she's unaware of others or doesn't value connection, rather. It means that her relationships are built on mutual respect, not validation. She doesn't need anyone else's achievements or approval to reinforce her own worth. When she celebrates others, it comes from a place of genuine joy and admiration, untainted by insecurity or competition. This woman's self-belief also extends to her boundaries. She's learned that part of honoring her worth is setting limits that protect her energy and time. She isn't afraid to say no to things that drain her or pull her away from her priorities. And she does so without feeling guilty because she understands that boundaries aren't about shutting people out, they're about making space for what matters. Her boundaries are a reflection of the respect she has for herself and her commitments. She doesn't feel the need to explain or justify them because they are part of how she honors her self-belief. In her self-belief, she has also learned to be kind and compassionate toward herself. She understands that growth involves mistakes, setbacks, and learning curves. Rather than being harsh or self-critical, she practices self-compassion, which helps her maintain her resilience and adaptability. When things don't go as planned, she doesn't spiral into self-doubt. Instead, she sees it as an opportunity to learn and grow, knowing that her worth isn't tied to her successes or failures. This ability to bounce back and keep going reinforces her self-belief, showing her time and again that she's capable of handling whatever comes her way. Her self-belief makes her a beacon to those around her. People sense the strength and authenticity she exudes, and it often inspires others to look within and find their own worth. She leads by example, showing others that it's possible to live with conviction, clarity, and confidence. She doesn't demand attention or seek admiration, yet her presence commands respect because it's evident that she knows who she is and what she stands for. Her self-belief is a quiet, steady force that draws people in. Not because she's trying to be anyone's role model, but because she's living her truth unapologetically. Ultimately, the power of her self-belief is transformative. It allows her to take risks, pursue her passions, and stand firm in her values, all without being swayed by fear or doubt. She knows that even if she encounters challenges, she has the inner strength to navigate them. Her self-belief is her anchor, keeping her grounded when things get tough and allowing her to soar when opportunities arise. It's what empowers her to live a life that feels true and fulfilling, guided by her own inner compass rather than the expectations of others. In a world that often encourages people to seek validation from external sources, the self-belief of this woman is revolutionary. It's a reminder that true confidence doesn't come from being told you're good enough, it comes from knowing it deep within. This is what makes her unshakable, resilient, and free. And in that freedom, she finds not only her own power, but the ability to inspire others to believe in themselves, too. You said. For a woman who has cultivated unshakable self-belief, discernment becomes her compass. She understands the importance of listening selectively, not because she disregards others or thinks her own voice is the only one that matters, but because she knows that not all voices have her best interests at heart. To listen selectively is an act of self-preservation, a way of honoring her values and protecting her goals. She has learned that discernment is essential in a world where countless voices, opinions, and criticisms seek to influence her choices, often steering her away from her true path. This doesn't mean she dismisses everyone around her or refuses to hear feedback. On the contrary, she is open to wisdom and guidance, but she has developed the skill to recognize where genuine support and constructive insight lie. She listens to those who know her well, who understand her dreams, and who speak with an intention to uplift rather than limit. She also respects perspectives that may challenge her, so long as they come from a place of care and authenticity. For her, listening selectively is about filtering out the voices that come from fear, prejudice, or judgment, and allowing in only those voices that resonate with her values and purpose. The ability to discern valuable feedback from limiting opinions is not an easy skill to master. It requires a profound level of self-awareness, as well as courage. Often, the voices that attempt to hold her back come from sources close to her friends, family members, or colleagues. They may have good intentions, wanting to protect her from failure or disappointment, but she knows that sometimes even well-meaning advice can be rooted in fear, and she has learned to recognize when someone's fear is speaking louder than their trust in her abilities. Rather than absorbing these fears, she chooses to move forward with her own confidence intact, knowing that her choices are aligned with her truth. Listening selectively also means she doesn't allow criticism to undermine her self-worth. She understands that in pursuing her path, she will inevitably face judgment from those who do not understand her vision or who feel threatened by her ambition. Not everyone will appreciate her choices, and that's okay. She has come to terms with the fact that living authentically sometimes means being misunderstood. This realization frees her from the need to people please or seek universal approval. She is not here to make everyone comfortable, but to be true to herself and contribute in a way that aligns with her purpose. This woman's selective listening strengthens her boundaries. When she encounters criticism that doesn't serve her, she chooses not to internalize it. She knows that. While constructive feedback can help her grow, criticism born out of jealousy, insecurity, or misunderstanding is not worth her energy. She doesn't let others' negativity become part of her internal dialogue. Instead, she focuses on voices that are rooted in respect and encouragement. Her boundaries are a reflection of her self-respect, and by choosing carefully what she lets in, she preserves her inner peace. To live this way requires a remarkable level of resilience. It's not easy to stand firm in one's values when outside voices attempt to pull you in different directions. But she knows that giving in to every opinion would dilute her strength and muddy her vision. This woman has learned that her energy is limited, and she intends to use it for growth, creativity, and meaningful relationships. By selectively listening, she channels her energy toward what truly matters, making her more focused, grounded, and intentional. The practice of listening selectively also helps her stay connected to her intuition. She understands that her gut instincts are a powerful guide, especially in situations where logic alone doesn't provide clarity. Her intuition serves as a compass that leads her toward choices aligned with her values and passions. She has learned to trust this inner knowing, allowing it to cut through the noise of others' opinions and guide her path. This doesn't mean she always has all the answers, but she has faith in her ability to navigate even uncertain situations by following her instincts and listening to the wisdom within. In embracing selective listening, she creates a life that feels authentic and fulfilling. This woman surrounds herself with people who bring positivity and encouragement, who challenge her to grow but respect her autonomy. She understands the importance of a support system built on mutual respect and shared values. By listening to those who truly see her, she receives insight that enriches her life, helping her grow in ways that feel true to her. Selective listening allows her to create a circle of trust, where each voice is one of love, respect, and support. Her approach to selective listening is a statement of independence and self-trust. She does not need to be swayed by every opinion or dictated by every piece of advice. This independence is liberating because it allows her to make choices based on what feels right for her rather than what others expect. Her life is a testament to the power of aligning with one's own truth rather than chasing approval or fearing disapproval. She moves forward with purpose, navigating challenges and opportunities alike with the confidence that she knows what's best for her. The power of listening selectively transforms her life, keeping her grounded in what she values most. It ensures that the path she walks is her own, not one shaped by the opinions or judgments of others. And in doing so, she inspires those around her to listen to their own truths, to filter out the noise, and to pursue a life that feels genuinely fulfilling. Her journey shows that, by selectively listening, we not only protect our own well-being, but also empower ourselves to live in alignment with our highest purpose. For a woman with deep self-belief, boundaries are not barriers, they are the foundation of her respect for herself and for those around her. In a world where people often feel entitled to her time, her energy, and even her identity, she has learned the power of saying no, without apology, of setting limits that protect her well-being, and of valuing her inner peace above others' expectations. She understands that setting boundaries is not about closing herself off, but about creating the space she needs to thrive, to live authentically, and to pursue her goals with purpose and clarity. This woman knows that boundaries are not selfish but essential. They're her way of honoring her commitments to herself, her goals, and the people she truly values. She understands that by setting clear boundaries, she's able to show up more fully in her relationships and her work because she's not depleted or overextended. She recognizes that her energy is a finite resource, and if she gives it away indiscriminately, she risks losing the focus and strength she needs to achieve her own dreams. Boundaries allow her to be present, both for herself and for the people who matter most. Setting boundaries is not always easy, and it's often met with resistance, especially in a culture that expects women to be accommodating and self-sacrificing. This woman has likely faced criticism or guilt for asserting her needs, perhaps being labeled as difficult or uncooperative. But she's come to see that these labels say more about others' discomfort with her self-respect than about her. She refuses to compromise her well-being just to avoid conflict or to please others. Her boundaries are her way of communicating her worth, of saying, I respect myself enough to know my limits, and I expect that respect from others. Her boundaries also serve as a powerful example to others. By standing firm in her convictions, she silently gives others permission to do the same. Those around her start to realize that boundaries are not about rejection, but about respect for oneself and for others. She teaches people through her actions that it's possible to care deeply about others without sacrificing one's own needs. Her boundaries are a testament to her understanding of balance. She gives generously where she can, but she doesn't deplete herself in the process. In setting boundaries, this woman also cultivates a more meaningful and intentional life. She's not filling her schedule with obligations that don't serve her or participating in activities that drain her energy. Instead, she focuses on what aligns with her goals and values. By saying no to what doesn't resonate with her, she creates room for what truly matters. Her life is not cluttered with unnecessary obligations or distractions, which allows her to pursue her passions, nurture her relationships, and invest in her personal growth. Her boundaries are her way of choosing what fills her life, ensuring that every commitment she makes has purpose and meaning. This woman has learned to set boundaries without needing to justify them. She knows that she doesn't owe anyone an explanation for choosing to prioritize her well-being. When she declines an invitation or steps back from a situation that doesn't feel right, she does so with quiet confidence, understanding that her no is enough. She has released the need to explain herself because she trusts her own decisions. By honoring her boundaries without apology, she reinforces her self-worth, showing that she values herself enough to protect her energy without feeling guilty. Her boundaries are not rigid or inflexible. She understands that life requires adaptability and that circumstances can change. However, even when she chooses to make exceptions, she does so with intention, not out of obligation or guilt. Her boundaries are not about control, but about mindful choices. She's able to be flexible without compromising her core values, and this adaptability makes her resilient. Her boundaries are rooted in self-awareness, which allows her to assess situations and adjust when necessary, always keeping her well-being and integrity at the forefront. Through her boundaries, this woman fosters healthier relationships. The people in her life know where they stand with her because she's clear and respectful about her limits. Her relationships are not built on assumptions or silent resentments, but on honesty and mutual respect. She doesn't expect others to read her mind or guess her needs. Instead, she communicates openly. This transparency creates trust and understanding, allowing her relationships to flourish because they're built on a foundation of clarity and respect. Her boundaries serve as a reminder to those around her that she values both herself and them enough to communicate honestly. In a world that often encourages women to sacrifice themselves for others, her boundaries are an act of empowerment. She's rewriting the narrative, showing that a woman can be both compassionate and self-respecting, generous and discerning. Her boundaries are a statement of her independence, her recognition that she is responsible for her own happiness and fulfillment. She doesn't wait for others to respect her needs, she sets the standard through her actions, and by doing so, she commands the same respect from others. Her boundaries are about creating a life that feels authentic and fulfilling. By protecting her energy and honoring her needs, she's able to pursue her passions and achieve her goals with clarity and focus. Her boundaries are her way of saying, I am worthy of a life that nourishes me, that allows me to grow, and that brings me joy in living this way. She inspires others to embrace their own worth, to set their own boundaries, and to live lives that feel as true and fulfilling as hers. She's a reminder that boundaries are not walls but bridges to a life of purpose, respect, and lasting inner peace. A woman who knows her worth understands that there are times when the most empowering thing she can do is let go. When she feels herself holding on to people, situations, or patterns that no longer serve her, she recognizes the importance of releasing them. Letting go is a testament to her self-respect and her confidence. She knows that she deserves to be in spaces and with people who value her presence, her time, and her contributions. This decision to let go isn't an act of giving up or surrendering. Instead, it is an intentional choice to make room for growth, positivity, and opportunity. This woman understands that letting go requires courage. Often we hold on to people or circumstances because they feel familiar, and stepping away from them can be intimidating. Yet she knows that clinging to what feels comfortable can also be a form of self-limitation, keeping her trapped in a cycle that stunts her growth. For her, letting go isn't about rejecting her past or abandoning people, it's about freeing herself from anything that restricts her evolution. She has learned that not everything or everyone is meant to accompany her on her journey, and by releasing these attachments, she's choosing her own path forward. Letting go also means she's able to embrace the unknown with faith and resilience. She acknowledges that, while change can be challenging, it is often necessary for personal growth. By letting go, she opens herself to new possibilities, to experiences that align more authentically with her values and goals. She has learned that holding on to the wrong things can block her from recognizing and seizing the right opportunities. Letting go creates space for her to receive what she truly deserves, be it fulfilling relationships, rewarding work, or a lifestyle that aligns with her purpose. She has come to see that sometimes holding on can be a form of resistance against life's natural flow. She understands that life is fluid, that people grow and circumstances change, and that it's okay to release things that once brought her happiness or stability. Letting go allows her to flow with life rather than resist it, trusting that her journey will bring her to where she's meant to be. She respects herself enough to know that she's capable of moving forward, even if she doesn't have all the answers. Letting go is her way of expressing faith in her resilience and her ability to create a fulfilling future, regardless of the past. This woman also understands that letting go is an act of self-care. She knows that clinging to toxic relationships, unfulfilling jobs, or negative thoughts can weigh her down, affecting her mental, emotional, and even physical health. By letting go, she's prioritizing her well-being, choosing peace over conflict, and self-love over self-sacrifice. She realizes that true growth comes from nurturing herself, from being honest about what makes her feel valued and alive. Her willingness to let go demonstrates her commitment to herself and her happiness, showing that she won't compromise her peace to hold on to something that no longer feels right. When she lets go, she doesn't do so with bitterness or regret. Instead, she releases with gratitude for the lessons learned and the experiences gained. She knows that every person, every situation has contributed to her growth in some way. Her act of letting go is not one of dismissal, but of closure. She's able to look back on what she's releasing with a sense of appreciation for how it helped shape her. This gratitude gives her peace and allows her to move on without feeling weighed down by what could have been. Letting go becomes an act of love, a way of honoring her journey and all it has taught her. Letting go also empowers her to trust herself more deeply. By choosing to release things that no longer align with her, she reinforces her confidence in her own decisions and her ability to discern what's best for her. She doesn't let fear of judgment or the opinions of others sway her choice to let go. Instead, she stands firm in her truth, knowing that she is the best judge of her own life. This self-trust allows her to move forward with clarity, grounded in the understanding that she is capable of making the choices necessary for her own well-being. The strength she demonstrates by letting go also encourages those around her to do the same. People see her moving forward with grace and resilience, and they are inspired to evaluate their own lives and release what may be holding them back. Her courage becomes a model for others, showing that letting go is not a sign of weakness but of strength. She teaches those in her life that it's okay to make choices that prioritize inner peace, self-respect, and growth. This woman's ability to let go is a testament to her self-worth. She's not afraid to step away from anything that doesn't serve her highest good, because she knows her value and she trusts her path. She understands that letting go isn't the end, it's the beginning of something new, an invitation to welcome what truly aligns with her. In letting go, she claims her right to a life filled with love, respect, and purpose. Her journey becomes a story of empowerment and self-trust, a journey defined not by what she has released, but by what she has gained in courage, clarity, and peace. A woman who knows her worth understands the importance of walking away from situations where she is not appreciated. She knows that staying in a place where she isn't valued can slowly erode her confidence, making her question her abilities and even her self-worth. This realization didn't come easily, but over time she has learned that her energy, time, and heart are precious resources that deserve to be cherished. Walking away is not about giving up, it's about honoring herself and affirming her self-respect. When she chooses to leave, she is sending a clear message that she values herself enough not to settle for anything less than what she deserves. This woman has developed an unwavering commitment to her well-being, which sometimes means leaving environments that feel stifling or unsupportive. She has learned that staying in situations where she is taken for granted or overlooked does not serve her growth. She knows that if she accepts less than she deserves, it sets a precedent for how others will treat her. Walking away is her way of establishing boundaries, of telling the world and herself that she will not tolerate relationships, jobs, or friendships that fail to recognize her worth. Walking away requires immense courage, especially when the situation involves people she cares about or a job she once loved. It's not an easy decision, and it often comes with a mix of sadness, fear, and uncertainty. However, she trusts her inner voice, which tells her that staying would mean compromising her happiness and authenticity. She understands that true relationships and meaningful work are built on mutual respect and appreciation. If those fundamental values are missing, she knows it's time to move on, even if it means venturing into the unknown. In walking away, she prioritizes her self-respect over the comfort of familiarity. She understands that comfort zones can be deceptively restrictive, keeping her from exploring new opportunities and growing into her potential. By walking away from situations where she's not valued, she opens up space for new experiences, relationships, and possibilities. She's not afraid of starting over if it means moving closer to an environment that honors her strengths, dreams, and individuality. Her choice to leave is not a sign of weakness, it's a powerful affirmation of her belief in her worth. This woman knows that walking away doesn't mean abandoning everyone who doesn't agree with her or quitting when things get tough. She's resilient and willing to work through challenges. However, she distinguishes between situations that challenge her and those that diminish her. When a relationship or job becomes draining, toxic, or dismissive of her contributions, she recognizes it as a sign to step back. Her decision to walk away is not an impulsive one, it's a thoughtful choice grounded in self-awareness and clarity about what she needs to thrive. By choosing to walk away, she protects her inner peace. She knows that constantly seeking validation or trying to prove her worth to others can be exhausting. Instead of staying in situations where she feels undervalued, she conserves her energy for people and pursuits that uplift and inspire her. This decision allows her to maintain her mental and emotional well-being, which in turn empowers her to pursue her passions wholeheartedly. She has learned that walking away from situations that don't serve her is an act of self-care, a way to nurture her spirit and focus on what truly matters. In many ways, her decision to walk away is also a lesson to those around her. People come to understand that she won't settle for half-hearted commitments or relationships where respect is absent. Her actions serve as a reminder that everyone deserves to be treated with dignity and appreciation. She teaches others, through her example, that it's okay to leave environments that make them feel small or unappreciated. Her choice inspires others to consider their own boundaries and to value themselves enough to step away from situations that don't nurture them. Walking away also deepens her connection to her values. It reminds her of the standards she holds for herself and the people in her life. She knows that by standing firm in her self-worth, she's more likely to attract relationships, opportunities, and experiences that align with her values. Her decision to leave creates a ripple effect, bringing her closer to the kind of life she envisions, one filled with respect, purpose, and positivity. She is not afraid to walk alone if it means walking a path that is true to her heart. This choice also reinforces her self-trust. Walking away requires her to trust that she will find better, that she has the resilience to move forward, and that her worth is not dependent on others' recognition. She knows that she is capable of creating a fulfilling life, even if it means leaving behind what no longer serves her. Her trust in herself grows with every step she takes away from situations that don't honor her. This inner confidence is her foundation, enabling her to face new challenges with strength and optimism. Her willingness to walk away when she's not appreciated is a testament to her strength and independence. She doesn't rely on others to validate her worth or dictate her choices. She is her own source of validation, and this self-assurance allows her to walk forward with grace and resolve. Her journey reflects a powerful truth that sometimes the most empowering thing we can do is walk away from what no longer serves us, trusting that in doing so, we are moving closer to the life we truly deserve. This woman's strength is an inspiration to others, a reminder that self-worth is non-negotiable, and that everyone deserves to be in environments where they are respected, appreciated, and valued.